Hi, I'm Nate Biddle, and this is VR on the Web. Today the topic is Hello Web VR, and all it's going to be is a video representation of the very basics of A-Frame, which is a web framework for building virtual reality content utilizing the 3JS JavaScript library. And this content will be compatible with all browsers that support the WebXR standard, and WebXR refers to virtual reality and augmented reality utilizing web technologies. And regarding what browsers support that, it's a growing standard, so many don't yet, but there's quite a bit of compatibility already. Google Chrome and Firefox stay up to date pretty regularly. Safari, I believe, has some support for it. I am including in the description below a link to caniuse.org, and that will show you what browsers currently support the WebXR standard. There's a lot of mobile browsers that currently do as well. So take a look there if you're not sure. But, if you have a smartphone or a desktop, you most likely have access to a browser that supports WebXR right now. So I'm just going to go over a very basic scene utilizing A-Frame. And I'd like to quickly tell you a bit more about A-Frame. A-Frame, like I said, it's a framework for creating WebVR content for the browser. And it uses an entity component system, and that means that, and the way it implements that is through tags similar to other types of XML and HTML. So there's a set of tags built into the A-Frame library, and then you can extend it to create your own tags so that you can declare different entities and the components of those entities within your markup, and then that gets translated via the browser through JavaScript in order to create your virtual reality experiences and your augmented reality experiences if you're doing that as well. So I don't want to be one of those tutorials in a very basic instance. I don't want to be one of those tutorials that types out all of the boilerplate. So I've already just grabbed the boilerplate from the standard Hello Web VR example from aframe.io, which is a great resource. And, all of the docs are there. They have a bunch of links to different blogs and communities. I think there's a Slack channel. There may be a Discord server as well. So you can go there to dive a lot further in. I'm also going to be doing a lot more of these tutorials, many of which will be much more advanced for those who are interested in taking it further rather than just doing the very basics here. But again, this is just boilerplate that was pulled from aframe.io. It's the Hello Web VR example that they provide there. And so let's just take a look here. I'll just go through the code for those who aren't really familiar. I'd like to point out that we are not doing any serving of these pages, so this is just going to be a static HTML file. And if you're a beginner and you aren't even familiar with the difference between static HTML files and served files, don't worry about that fact. But, because I also want this to be something that kids can learn. I think that learning coding young, maybe early teens, possibly younger if they're interested, but learning it young is a great head start for where I think a lot of the world is going as far as the job market and things like that. And I think that WebVR and WebAR, the WebXR technology stack, is going to evolve and become a really important part of the internet. I think, as the internet grows, that blockchain will probably be a pretty big part of it. But I think virtual reality and augmented reality will become a big part of it. And there's a lot of movement away from native apps for phones, like iPhones and Androids, to cross-platform, cross-browser application type websites that would essentially act the same across all browsers, on all phones. And when I say act the same, I just mean have compatibility. They may be styled differently, of course. So what we have here, not to go on a tangent, but what we have here is a basic HTML document. We have the head, and this is where we include all our scripts. Metadata, you include the title and a few different other declarations. But an important part, the important piece for this tutorial is this set of scripts tags, and this is pointing to the latest production release of A-Frame, and that's 1.2.0. And so this allows you to create your experiences, your virtual reality experiences. Next important part within the body here is the A scene. And the A scene is where you're going to hold all of your different entities for your virtual reality experience. And it's the container for everything. It's, if you've visited any site that has a virtual reality compatibility, you will have seen what this looks like. And on a site, you will, you can take a look here, but you go to it and you see like the little goggles that you can click on and it'll bring you into the scene. That's what the A scene is. So, here we have the A scene. Within it, we have a box, a sphere, a cylinder, and a plane. Notice how they're appended. We have a box, a sphere, a cylinder, and a plane. These are part of the standard library of entities that are built into the A-Frame library, out of the box. So you don't have to create these. Like I mentioned, you can extend stuff further, but there's a lot of stuff that's built in, and there's actually a quickly growing, set of open source components that have been released, and you can get those on via npmjs.org and via, there are certain GitHub areas where you can take a look. The aframe.io has links to a lot of these as well. So, it's a growing set of components. It's a growing library. And, third-party components, can do a lot. There are things like physics systems, all kinds of different shaders, and all sorts of things like that. There is support for EasyRTC and other types of cross-browser communication technologies that allow you to create multiplayer experiences, and it's great stuff. So we have a box, a sphere, a cylinder, and a plane. And we declare these entities, and then the components within them are to declare their properties, and those properties, there are some built-in ones within the library as well. All of this is built into the A-Frame library. Position, rotation, those are fundamental. Geometry also is, and material also is, but these entities, they already have geometry and material defaults, and so we don't need to mess with any of that right now. That's stuff you'll learn about later in later tutorials. And if you want to browse the documentation on aframe.io, you can also learn it there. So I'm just going to fire this up in the browser, and we can take a look. And you can see here you have your sphere, you have a cylinder, you have a box as well, and you have your plane. They're all sitting on top of them. You see this shadow here that is using the shadow component that was declared on all of these entities. We declared our colors using hex codes. The height and the width and radius and things like that, that's meant to represent a meter in the real world. So keep that in mind. So So yeah, let's take a look here. So we can drag this around. This is just the built-in A scene, gives you the basic ability to do this. Oh, whoops. Get A scene gives you the basic ability to go like this. If you were to enter it in VR, if you have your headset ready, you can just go into VR, take a look. That'll give you some additional capability to view this. But this really the sky is the limit, and what you can do, you know, is only limited to your imagination with this stuff. And so, I would say if you are interested in learning more about this, take a look through the docs. I'll be making some more tutorials, so you can look through my tutorials and learn a bit more. Additionally, I'll be covering more stuff as I'll be covering the the growth and the emergence of new components and new technologies. There are a lot of different frameworks as well. A-Frame is my favorite. It's the one that I've done the most work with. But there's a lot of other stuff like React VR, Babylon JS, and some other libraries on that. It's growing. And I think that the more people that adopt it, the better it'll be, because I think that this is technology that's, it's really going to go somewhere. I foresee a set of interlinked virtual reality experiences, sort of a new, virtually physical internet where people, can create communities that are interlinked across domains and things like that. And I think it's going to be really great. The fact that it's within the browser, it has some positives and it has some negatives. The negatives, obviously, are that you currently have to sacrifice performance in a lot of ways. That's constantly improving, of course, and as GPUs become more powerful and cheaper, that becomes less and less of an issue. Positives, of course, are that the talent pool for the software technologies being used here is much larger. It's JavaScript, it's XML, and it's all that stuff. So that fact alone makes it so that if enough people get behind it, it can grow at a much more rapid pace. Additionally, it has crossover, into professional jobs as well, because if you're an expert in JavaScript and HTML, you can be a software engineer or a web developer. Additionally, I think that one of the greatest parts about virtual reality in the web browser is that it's device agnostic and browser agnostic. So you can create these experiences so that someone could experience it on a phone, Android or iPhone, as well as on a desktop, on a laptop, on a tablet, and additionally in every single headset that has a browser. So that's just about every headset right now. So you can create a web VR experience that can be seen by literally everyone. And that is a huge difference compared to a lot of the current applications that are, for example, Oculus Quest specific or HTC Vive specific. And some of that stuff's changing. They have the app links with Oculus Quest now, which is pretty cool. And kind of takes that, gated store approach. It sort of reduces those barriers a bit, but with the web, all you need is a domain name and a server, and you're good to go. You can put whatever you want on, obviously within reason, as we know, but you can put whatever you want on the web. Sky's the limit, and there's all sorts of things that I think have yet to be discovered with what we can do with this web technology. I think gaming is going to be huge here on the web. I think that advertising, of course, there's a lot of potential with that, and also all sorts of experiences are coming, I think. and I hope that you embrace it the way I've embraced it, and I hope that you you enjoyed this tutorial, really. And I hope that this was helpful, useful, and taught you something. I hope to teach more, and I also hope to engage with everyone. So if there's any topics that you guys want me to go over, let me know. I'm happy to do that. I have a lot of experience with this stuff. I've created multiplayer games, and I'll be showcasing some of this stuff. And I've created multiplayer games. I've created a bunch of different experiences: basketball, sword fighting, and so a social media site. In fact, just a prototype of a social media site. But there's a lot that you can do with this, and I think. I think it's really fun. I have a lot of fun with it, and I hope you guys too. I hope you guys do too. But again, if you liked this, if you want to see more, like, comment, and subscribe, as they say. And I'll see you next time.